So I see Nerp lighting up, but I don't fucking hear him.
He's a
How
little
about
quiet.
now?
Yes,
There you go.
There we go. My mic's volume was set to halfway for some reason. Anyways, it's
Logic,
fixed.
that's why.
Yeah. Hello, greetings, welcome. Here's the thing known as a meeting, yes. Alright, so I imagine there's some things I need to be caught up on, because it's been a bit, and I was not able to make last meeting because I was nowhere near my computer or my laptop. I was middle of nowhere. But, beyond that, because of me being sick for a bit and just holiday busyness, haven't really been able to do too much, but I have nearly completed the updates for the cleric subclass as well as the ashen, or not cleric subclass, cleric class as well as the ashen class. So those probably be done tonight because I'm like really freaking close.
Wow.
Yeah, right now I'm just finishing up a few more domains to put on the cleric and like one feature of one of the subclasses because I've split domains and subclasses into separate things in the update for cleric.
God.
It's a lot.
But why?
Reasons.
Because clerics must suffer.
Please, man, I don't want to suffer.
You're a druid, be quiet.
He has one level in
I'm a-
cleric.
I
Fair
have 2
enough.
levels in cleric.
2 levels?
you're being
What the
fancy.
fuck?
It's 2 cleric, 2 druid, and the rest is going to be cleric.
Well, you will
So
not
I'm
suffer. You still get your domains at first level.
No, he's suffering.
It's okay, I'm used to suffering.
Yeah.
Playing with these guys.
You're welcome.
But that's pretty big update there. Equipment guide has been seen some work while I was sick, but it has taken a bit of a back burner because once I got inspiration for the cleric and the ashen, I kind of just went wild. And once you have inspiration, you kind of need to go for it, or you're gonna lose it and you won't be able to work on things. So.
Well, no, you can stockpile up to 3 inspiration.
Yeah, I don't. I have a flaw. It doesn't allow me to do that.
Damn.
Yeah. Anyways,
Imagine.
most of what's left for the equipment guide is just organizing the rules into a cleaner and more concise way to read them at this point.
That sounds like simplification to me.
Simplification would be making the rules simpler.
No, but they're simpler to read because it's more organized.
Well, I mean, yeah. Either which way. Anyways, regardless of that, I see there are some things going on from above that requires my attention. I do not see a legacy in here, so their stuff will have to wait until they do show up. But what needs to be brought to my attention? Things people discuss, things to bring up.
Of course, Fritz isn't here. He's the first one. After Jokey.
Oh,
I was say we should probably start rolling for some new players because we've had some drop-offs lately.
How many players we got?
How many we at? I don't know. I know 2 just dropped again yesterday, and with the upkeep and all that other stuff going on, there's been a bunch of inactive and people dropping and such.
Gotcha.
Rolls. How many people have the adventurer tag? 69.
Nice. It's probably inaccurate though. Best way to look at it would be to look at those who have pay their upkeep.
Okay, hold on.
Because once the
69 people have paid
I know there were some people with sheets that, like, in the character sheets that just haven't even been touched, like, since the new sheets went out.
There are 64 people that have the taxed tag.
Yeah, ignore the text tag. We have the Excel sheet. Well, the Google Doc. 69 people have paid the upkeep. And 19 people have left since the upkeep began. So,
Alright.
Okay, so I return to my previous statement of nice.
So a decent number probably should look towards getting some roles then. In that case, we can announce it now and drop the, or the meeting. We can announce we're gonna look towards getting new player roles, and we can roll them up either next week or the week after, because the week after would be the time drop.
We'll wait till the week after because that lets us go through the list of people who are actually inactive and haven't done shit in like months.
Yeah.
Because then we can get a proper number of people that we actually have to start rolling for.
Also, I just realized next week is the time drop, so it'd be the 10th. Yeah. Anyways. Okay. Yeah, we can have a player wave on the 10th then. And that will give us time to determine, as you were saying, how many people are actually still here, which will give us a number of people that we can actually roll for. Means we can have that discussion next week of how many roll slots we'll be rolling for.
Then we don't have to space out how many people we're fucking DMing every single time to give their sheets.
Yeah. All
And
right.
it saves me sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, you're the head of Dolator. Your sanity is permanently
You
at
have to
0.
deal with me.
Not really.
No, Blackheart's dealt with you for fucking years. You
I
ain't
also have to
shit.
deal with her. It's fair.
Yeah, there's the downside. It's you who has to deal with the problem, not the other way around.
Well, that's a demotion.
Huh?
That's a demotion.
Why?
Sneezing into the mic like a.
Actually, I sneezed into my arm.
That's even worse. You're spreading germs.
Nuh-uh. No, I'm not.
Darkness.
There we go.
Darkness. Darkness. Yes, power is mine. Okay. There we go. It's fucking weird. Okay.
There we go.
What did I miss?
Nothing.
Okay.
Literally nothing. We weren't
Cool.
talking.
Okay.
Aside from giving Neb shit for sneezing.
Nice. I understand their pain. I am also allergied right now. Okay. So, let's see. Topic 1, Syrik energy dice is an exhaustive resource. Yes, they should be made exhaustive if used in downtime.
All right, use clap. Done.
Yep. Topic 2, removing part of Spark of Invention. Don't mind me, I'm just sneezing over here in the corner of sadness. Yeah, we can just get rid of the flat. It's easy enough.
Or legacy later when she writes up her stuff.
Alright. Topic 4, priority update.
I realize that's horribly formatted. Most of this has already been answered.
Yeah.
Just space this. Yeah, I can. There we go. That should make it better.
Here we are. Okay. I'm not sure what the clarification is referring to. Let's see. Seems that it's just
It was mostly clarification on how low priority works because people are still confused on what dignifies or no dignifies, but like what sets your priority due to the just like people not getting in games when they're like low but they can't get in over someone else type thing. Which is most of this has been answered before. Like the level 5 player having a low priority, it does work that way, yes. But if the level 5 player is the only one there that can join due to priority, they kind of get the slot.
yeah.
Like like they'll still have higher priority over someone who recently played a game.
It's true. It's definitely true. I think from the looks of it, I probably should just transfer the system I was using back in the Living Worlds days, just so people have rough guidelines to then use for their own games. Because that had a whole point system. It was very like, here's what everyone has, here's what everyone's going on, and it made it very easy to determine who should be in the game.
Bless Roman's heart for the amount of shit that he did.
Yeah, indeed.
On top of the topic 4 was bringing back a system similar to Verum where people could double dip into games. In the rare case that people did not have enough and they would go below 4.
that for a second part of number 4? Because I'm not saying that part.
Oh no, that was this is related to for example, people like Month who, are I think you're GMT +9 or something. I don't know what Russia goes over. But like the EU people not having enough people to get games or run
Yeah.
games. And of course we do have people that, we have several people in here that can play games all the time
Mhm.
because they have no life.
Yeah.
Which is, again, not a bad thing. It was in the event that you can't get enough players due to time zones or whatever it was. Yeah, to allow people to get in a second game, but the caveat that I think even Duke agreed on this was that if you play in a second game, you cannot get rewards for it. You're there to help. You're there to help people get into games.
Your reward is you got to play D&D when you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, but again, this is a nuclear launch detected option. It's not the first option a DM should go for.
Yeah.
It's a look. I don't have enough players. I don't have enough people. I I need some help to get people in games, which is what we're trying to do. It should not be your first option. Your first option should always be take the 4 you have and adjust accordingly, or take who you can and adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
But that was something that was brought up to bring that back. But of course, we know how people abuse it in Verum, so they obviously get nothing for it, but they get to play D&D.
Mm-hmm.
The other alternate option, I can go grab it real quick, was letting civs have a fake adventure slot to get in, which is a lot of other stuff, but it was a consideration. It's not hard stoned.
Yeah, for the Civs one, that would require us to track an adventure character sheet as well, or just have like some pre-made adventure sheets, which mercenary adventure sheets might not be a bad idea, but that
And
one's...
even then, a lot of people brought up problems with, because they're not characters that the people are really going to play or care about.
Yeah. It's an issue there.
It was a whole discussion that had to quickly end the meeting last time because people weren't in here fucking reading. But it's a whole thing. Legacy wrote up above. It's not set in stone, but I think a good one to consider right now is bring back the old system where players could get into another game, but they don't get rewards for it, so they can't abuse it.
Mm-hmm. I think if a game is unable to reach the 4-player minimum, then I think the show must go on is fine.
Yeah.
In terms of rewards, I think experience, like milestones, whatnot, that being locked away, that's fine. I would say for monetary rewards, that's a bit more debatable.
Well,
just because like the party might find like a potion in the mission and be like, this would work best for you, and they would give it to them. As a DM, you can't be like, the potion just dissipates from their inventory.
Yeah, as long as you're not getting EXP, I think is a very good trade-off.
Yeah,
because that avoids people purposely trying to double dip games like we saw very much in Verum, which we want to avoid that.
Yeah,
gold is negligible. Items are negligible.
Mm-hmm. What we could do is, if we do want to make items a non-thing, I think XP is fine, getting rid of XP. If we do want to make gold a thing to also be gotten rid of, we could have it be that the guild takes its cut, as in the guaranteed wealth reward is not given to you. Anything beyond that, free game. But the guaranteed, you get X gold per milestone per player. You just would get your per player for that character.
Okay.
So the party can still divvy it up as they see fit if that is the way you give it out. But essentially, that player is not considered a player for purposes of wealth for the mission.
they again, this is just a backup oh shit button
Yeah.
just in case, so that we have something set up for DMs to get players. Otherwise, this is not considered unless you actually have to hit that oh shit button.
Yeah. It is a if we really need to.
Yeah.
Which hopefully with the next player wave, we can get some more EU people to help out with that issue. Might even have priority for EU people in this case. So if we have EU people, might be like, hey, I'll put your name on the roulette wheel twice.
No. I believe some people that are already signed up for stuff are EU people. That are the new batch that Legacy's going through.
Gotcha. Nice.
I think I would have to check. Outside of that, that was related to 4 because it ties into the whole priority thing and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
5 was Sithem's Origins, which Sithem's go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I've not received any additional feedback on Bruges Origin tune-up. The only thing under discussion is because it's technically editing a part of like the player backstory, which they were originally not allowed to change, giving them the option to either retain the old version or swap to something else was considered. I don't really care one way or the other. It's just I brought it up for devil's advocate's sake.
I think if the origin is changed, because we have changed it, it is fine to allow a free rebuild in that regard from origin to a new origin. As for keeping the old version, if it is significantly changed enough where it is basically a new thing and the flavor has been changed, we can just make your new version a new edition and keep the old one and then maybe adjust it power level wise. So it's still there, it just would be upgraded.
This isn't so much an issue for the Bruges Origins because, as I've stated before, there's like a total of 4 people with Bruges Origins. And most of the changes aren't even going to affect them because they're all using the same origin. But I wanted to get rid of a lot of the generic stuff from the Bruges Origins, like the guide on Wild Walker.
Yeah.
And it's just, so that's gone in favor of other stuff. So.
Yeah. And in response to Sky, I'm not saying keeping the legacy abilities. I'm saying if the origin is changed enough where the flavor and the abilities are different, just make a new origin
I said
option.
that because it was part of the discussion before
Gotcha.
letting people keep them on the change, and I'm so against that.
That's fair. I don't want legacy keepings either because that's going to confuse people. The best way to do that would be just to have a new origin added. So if it's like clearly a new ability, a new origin, just slap it on there. We'll have 7 instead of 6.
I only proposed it initially just, again, for the sake of argument for people that might be interested in not changing.
It's certainly true. Yeah. But you posted those in like Balance Team, right?
They're in the forum discussions.
Okay, that's why I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Just slap them into to Firehouse. I'll read them probably tonight or tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I'll pull up them onto World Anvil after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the things in Balance Team I have marked as unread, so I can read it. But been hectic and busy and sick and it's been
and exploding.
Yes.
I believe we already covered that, but it wouldn't hurt to get an opinion. Hang on. Let me grab the other 3. 9 was already answered because that's the one we were talking about was helping DMs. Y'all talk too much.
Fuck you.
Shut up.
Gotta scroll through all this bullshit.
There's a search function. Utilize it.
Pass that.
Right. Let's see.
That was Ghost. That doesn't matter. Oh, okay. So let's restart from here.
Well, well, well. Look who showed up. Hi.
There you go. That was the other ones from last week that don't really need a whole lot.
All right. Yeah, it's most unfortunate. Legacy. Blackouts are the worst. And it's, yeah, top of 6 is fine. I remember reading the image update.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah.
I believe 7 has already been taken care of because it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So ignore 6 and 7 at this point, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, number 8. Remember reading that earlier? It's been a bit since I've read it. I should reread it again. I was reading it during work, and then I got slammed with people asking for things, and it was a lot. I was going to respond. Yeah. Where's my mouse? That's my mouse.
Let me grab the other 2 legacy posted just to put them on the forefront.
I probably should not look at it currently.
This week.
Because if I go there, I'll go into political channel, which is supposed to be hidden. And I'll just turn this off. There we go. I have secrets. Alright, where are you, Det? So I remember reading that the debt seemed to have been like a forced. You have to pay this. Is that correct, or am I just misremembering?
I need to figure out where the fuck it was.
In
Oh,
here.
peer review. That's where we fucking put the damn thing.
Yes.
Jesus.
Those were the 3 right now that we haven't gone over for this week.
Basically, the way that it's written right now, is that dependent on the kind of debt, be it a contract that you've made with an NPC, an agreement you've made with a player, you have an amount of upkeep, or DTD periods, I think it was, to pay off the debt, which is just completely dependent on what happened in character. The only one that we haven't figured out, or at least haven't put a number to, is the one from any downtime activities that say, hey, you rolled like shit. Congratulations, you have debt now.
Yeah.
That being said, it was something that is like, you pay this off. If you don't pay it off, things will occur.
Yes.
Broken kneecaps.
I would say anything that is like from downtime. If it's not listed how long it'll take for the debt to be paid off, just assume it is next upkeep phase, or if the upkeep phase is like already been announced, then the next upkeep.
Upkeep or downtime period?
Upkeep.
That is far more generous.
Yeah. I mean, if it is a debt accrued by a hostile contact, then you can consider it next downtime period instead.
So
yeah.
Because it's topical, how would you describe the debt provided by pit fighting?
Hostile.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it were like an arena in, say, Vazia, those are very much like governmental based. So
yeah, they'll work something out with you.
Yeah.
Pit fighting, however,
they're
after the kneecap.
Yeah, that is like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club.
All right, so because we have the downtime soon, TM, that means that since this has not been determined until effectively now, the player involved has the next downtime period to pay it off. Easy. because it's kind of been sitting for a hot minute.
That is a fair point, Sky. We could set up these slots for yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, when we roll, they have a certain amount of time to figure out what they want to do anyway. And people are indecisive.
Mm-hmm. Well, they aren't given a sheet until they are given the slot, so
yeah,
they can theory craft all they want, but they don't actually have an active sheet that they're using, and transferring it over might break things. So stuff that we have to deal with. So, you're not wrong, but I think if we have the character wave unlock nearing the end of the month of December, that'll give them time to RP in character, not have to worry about any games, because I won't have any games during the 24th to the 30th.
I would be surprised if we have too many games from like the 17th to the 14th.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's true as well, but definitely not 24th to 30th unless they're like Christmas one-shots.
How else are they gonna fight Krampus?
I can fight Krampus in my own goddamn time. I own the Binding of Isaac.
It's not the same.
But dude, it's only a chance to fight Krampus.
I believe Laddersmith did update the link on World Anvil to be the most recent one, because they're asking about it, and I was like, yeah, feel free to update it. Regarding priority, I mentioned that I'm probably going to go grab my old Living World system that I had for priority and convert it to work for here and have it written down so people can use that as a guideline to make their priority system. Just because it'll be nice to have access to it. And if need be, since the bot system is not quite working out for priority, I might rebuild the Romans system, but yeah, had its own issues, which I really liked it, but it required us to use forms and stuff, and people didn't like it. It's a thing. Yeah, but it would allow us to automate the priority system. So yeah, it doesn't work perfectly, no.
Half the reason his thing worked is because he stared at it from Friday to Sunday.
Yep.
He spent 3 fucking days staring at the damn thing, playing Jenga with time slots.
Yeah. Let's see here, though, while you type your thing up. Clarifications on guild interpretation, going to missions, returning from missions. That is a topic that I feel like will need to be quite in-depth in discussion-wise.
Yeah, that's where that one's going last.
If they're out of tiers, they can join games. Yeah, they just have lower priority. As long as the GM approves it.
Oh, that's a whole bag of shit.
Yeah, we've already discussed the priority system a little bit. Essentially, out of tiers, they're good to go as long as GM's okay with it, and generally they'll have lower priority. But yeah, and as for if a game does not have enough players to actually run, so they're under 4, show must go on rule kicks in, so they can get people who have already been in the game, but that is like the
last option.
Last option,
last
yeah.
last
resort.
is what you're looking for.
And
Yeah.
and we'll write up rules for that to make sure they understand that they get to play in D&D, but they're not they're not getting stuff that'll be stuff written for later.
Essentially, if it is a last resort game, the last resort player does not gain any experience for this session. And it's still on debate, but there might not be considered a player for purposes of wealth in the mission. So like the guaranteed, this is what you get for completing the mission, they might not be considered a player for that. The rest of the mission, so like the random loot reward, that will still consider them a player. But the guaranteed, here you have 100 gold. No. So the players can still give that player money, give that player rewards and stuff, but it's not guaranteed they have this. So it's not too much of a drop in wealth for the mission, but it does allow them to play a game and all that. But that's still technically debatable, where we want to do that reward removal or not.
If we go with that, if a player wants to pay them, sure, that's
up to
them.
Most games I imagine are either one, this is what you get, period, and then players will divvy up themselves, or here's the loot you found in the dungeon, players will divvy up themselves. So generally they're going to be doing that anyways.
I mean,
argue at it for 3 days.
I find it funny that I have not actually had a game that I have been a player in like 4 fucking years where that has actually been the case. All of them have been, all right, everyone gets this, this, and this. Have a good day. Last time I had a game like that, I was up at 2 a.m. arguing because we rolled things and then someone was salty about an item. It was not fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was about almost 4 years. It was like 3 years and 9 months.
If we allow for civilians, we would need to keep track of civilian adventurer sheets. If they want to take on a civilian as a civilian itself, that could be a thing. Another option would be to have just pre-made mercenary sheets that they could take on, which civilians can play as. But then there is the question of they don't really have a character that they have a deep connection to, and they might just fuck with the mission.
Yeah.
So best option would be to allow civilians as they are. But again, that is definitely a if the GM wants to run with a civilian, because they are running around as, a commoner essentially. Might be, decently leveled, especially if they're level 3, because level 3 civilian does have proficiency with their tools as weaponry. So that'd be kind of fun running around with a shovel and hitting things in the face with it. So
They also have a higher chance to die.
it's true, but they're not like as bad. Like if they're a guard civilian, they're somewhat viable actually as a player character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which write up from last week?
I should go grab it.
Maybe. Do we the summary of the week's meeting? I did see it, yeah. It was a bit since I've read it, so refreshers are always nice. But I did read it through. I think I even reacted some of things of it. Yeah, I did see this, and I do agree with some of the concerns had in regards to being ghost players. In that, if they are playing a character that they have no direct connection with, they might just, fuck with things and play it like a murder hobo. So I think the first part, sans the ghost player, perfectly fine. Ghost player, it's a little concerning, but technically, if it's like absolutely necessary, you can discuss that there. And I would say if the DM wants to deal with a potential murder hobo, that's on them. Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to have a murder hobo. I'm just, it's a possibility. Overall, though, it is better to 1, take an adventurer, 2, take a civilian, and 3, ghost player at the very bottom of the barrel. And that's only if you really want to deal with it. The better option would be to have an adventurer who is already in mission, / civilian. If they have a guard civilian, they're like okay with having guards in the party. Civilians, and then ghost slot. So like it goes really down the line there, but priority should always be for adventuring players. Hopefully, with the new player wave that we've been discussing, giving EU players essentially a second chance of getting in. So I put their name in twice, is what the plan would be. So that way we can hopefully fill in that gap of players not being able to find games. Is if we get more EU people, then this whole issue won't be an issue anymore. Let's see here. I think if we have a player wave, they're obviously going to know about the player wave that we're planning now from the recording that we're doing. But if we open up the gates for players to join, say in like the 17th, maybe the 24th, 31st, that is when we actually open up the gates for people to take their character slots and, make their characters join the world and all that. I won't be getting into games for like a week or so after, especially if we do on the 17th. That'll give players enough time to get used to the world, to RP, and get all that good stuff like we had for the initial wave of players. And then come the new year, games can start kicking off as normal. So like we could open up the wave in January, but it's going to have a similar issue, I think, to opening up in December, in that the beginning of the new semester will be kicking off then. And that's going to be causing some people to not run games until they're used to the new schedule. So for the first week, or technically the second week of January, we might not have any games, just because of students going back to university. Like I know myself, I'm going full time. At least that's my intention. So my availability come January will probably be tanking really low. But all my classes are in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so maybe not.
Well, staff has a whole different kind of way to get a grasp on the system, as legacy bases basically forces them to get a grasp on the system before they're allowed to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
That is that is completely different there.
Mhm.
It's the same for DMs. We don't let them do anything until we know that they are good enough to go.
Yeah.
Like Neb.
As for the concerns, Sky, we already have civilians being able to join games. They are just considered a civilian slot in the game that you can specifically have. So they're like escort missions. They're the escort. This is more of to allow civilians in games as a last drop effort to have a game actually run. Because we've had games canceled because we haven't had enough players to join them because our EU slots are like 3 players. Not because we don't only have 3 EU players, it's because their time slots don't really work together, and the DM who's running the game doesn't really work with some of the other slots, so it's a whole thing, which is hopefully going to be fixed by the player wave, because we're going to give EU slots a priority by giving them their name twice. Yeah, scheduling is a bane, and if games are being canceled because we don't have enough players in a civilian slot, and a DM is okay with having a civilian in the game, means the game can run, and it's like the last choice option, then yeah. I mean, adventures take priority. Adventurers are more capable of doing on adventure, hence the term adventurer. Unlike civilians, they have the skill sets needed for it. There's a whole lot of in-universe reasons why adventure would be on missions rather than civilians. And regarding ghost characters, that's still very much a bottom of the barrel. If the GM's okay with it, sure, but preferred actual characters. Yeah, I mean, civs are part of the guild.
We force all the mercenaries to be lawful good, and you have to play one of these characters, and you have to play to its alignment.
That's
I know it's a joke.
I know it is, but it's also
lawful good works. The idea of someone going, "No, sir, I don't want your money. I was here just to help save the village."
What about that is lawful good? No, that's idiotic.
No, that's lawful simp, dude.
That's lawful good in the old AD&D days.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't AD&D.
Oh, please.
Fucking skeletons.
Look, second edition was great. Fuck you.
No, it wasn't. If it was, they wouldn't have made third.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I don't want civs in games as a main character slot either, just because that is going to put a added difficulty to the party. Because they are a civilian class. They're like saying, "Hey, Commodore Joe, join us in this adventure," and then they come in with a shovel and they're like, "Yeah, I got this, fam," and they don't got this.
The biggest thing out of this, and it's a thing for people to understand. We don't want this kind of at all, but we do need an option as a just in case thing when something hits the fan that we have a backup.
Yeah.
Like just in case, so that people can get in games. DMs aren't like, well, damn, I can't run a game because I can't get people. That's what this is. This is a oh shit button that will likely probably not happen except for a few times, and that's our intent. Otherwise, it's status quo across the board.
Indeed.
But look, we don't want to have to make this rule at all, but we do need a backup.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, technically, civilians can be effective in a game, especially if they're guards. Like, guard civilians could probably be pretty good from levels 1 to 5 in adventures. Especially if they have a solid tool proficiency. Like, I know I gave the civilian class the ability to use tools as weapons. Something can be pretty scary. They're not going to be as scary as like a barbarian or something like that, but they can be effective. They just nowhere near as effective as player classes, especially when I'm done updating all the player classes. Because then, yeah. But normally civilians are allowed as player characters in missions. For things like escort missions, stories where a civilian would take up a civilian slot. Otherwise, this is a last resort option. They're in here to make sure a game can actually run. And that is only after they've gone through the exhaustive resources of adventurers and whatnot. No. Yeah. What was the next thing on our docket?
The next thing was the second topic goes to the teleportation thing. So review access and rendering proposals.
View access and random proposals.
I believe this is a month one, so pop off.
Real quick before we pop off, quick question: can we let researchers join the Civ slot in the mission for on-field scheming? Yes, if you have a Civ slot and a researcher wants to join, feel free to have him be an on-field scheming. I mean, they're pretty skilled at doing research, so if you want to be like, hey, we're gonna go fight this ghoul-infested catacomb, can you tell us about it? As a civilian, and they go talk to this in-character civilian slot, yeah, 100%. That's kind of what the Civ slot's for. Is if you want to go talk to a civilian researcher, if you want to go talk to a civilian guard who happens to be the guard of the prison that you need to sneak into and you want to bribe them, and they're willing to accept bribes, so if they accept a bribe, that might get into other things. The Civ slot's whatever you want to use it for. And it's not a guaranteed permission as if you want to have a civilian slot. Yeah, I would say back to the picture sending thing. Just consider it the same system we have for letters. If it's one page, then it's one page. And by page, I mean letter standard. Which would be, I believe, 11.5 inches by 8.5 inches, 72 point DPI. I mean, yeah, Google Docs, there you go.
They're right. To be fair, just since it's in a shared link to what they're typing out, it does make things so much easier.
It's true. Yeah.
Plus, you're in it anyway. So,
all right. But yeah, no. Feel free to go ahead with your topic month now.
Yeah, shopping. I assume I kind of zoned out a little bit. Shopping, right? Just someone remind me, please.
This was related towards a portion of shopping. Yeah,
Alright, so TLDR, shopping, right? Mostly it's rewarding to just clarify a lot of things because it was written out for each day what you get. Now it's per day of this you get this, per day of this you get this. It's much cleaner. Second of all, I changed a little bit how the highest tier is obtained.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like 20 days, and if you have some sort of requirements, it's 5 days. Instead, it's 20 days if you have one of the requirements. It's 10 days if you have both, it's 5. And enchantments are separated with their own timings.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the highest tier now requires influence cost, depending on the item type.
Yeah.
That's it. Just trying to make it a little bit easier to read and adding a little bit of a requirement.
Yeah. I think that's all fine. I saw it earlier when I was looking through economy team, so I think it looks like good update. I am, per the equipment guide update, working on some adjustments to the economy, so probably not next economy meeting, but the one after that. We'll pop on in to join you guys and discuss those so we can see if we can't get those implemented. But
Sure, just join us whenever.
Yeah.
You can also just drop it in economy and we'll just discuss it.
Yeah. Just as a heads up, there is some updates, especially since you guys are looking towards the 10-hour days for everything instead of just for travel, which I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine to switch to. But if that is going to be the case, let me know sooner so I can update all my tables. Which will really be just updating the Excel spreadsheets that we have, because part of the equipment guide update is making everything on Excel, or more specifically Google Sheets, so then I can just change one value instead of having to go through everything and doing the math calculations and going in and doing out. It's a whole thing. It takes a lot of time.
Let functions do it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Technically, just a little bit to the side. If we change everything to 10-hour days, which helps a lot with counting effectiveness, because a lot of effectiveness is just 10%, so 10, 20, 30.
Yeah. It's math
we can
easy.
just, and if we go away from man hours and work hours to just hours and minimum hours, we can even remove minimum hours and just say that minimum hours is always 10%. And we can just do base hours. So if something takes 5 base, you will know automatically that minimum was 0.5. Round up to 1.
Yeah. I think that's fine. Good.
Yeah, that's just less numbers to track.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the math much easier. Because, like, the percentage chance of 8-hour days can get a little funky. So, yeah. I mean, I like the change. It's just...
If you need help with filling out Google Sheets, just, you have Google Wizards here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to go through the Google Sheets that we have and change all the values from 8-hour days to 10-hour days, and then that's good. So, fortunately, that's really easy, because you guys help slam out the miscellaneous items on there, the armor's on there. I don't think the weapons are on there yet, but that's something I've been working on for weapon crafting. But once that's all on there, then the equipment guide's basically golden. Yeah.
Again, just tell us if you need help with numbers.
Will do. All right. Do I want shopping update pushed out this week or with the time regression? If it's good to go this week, feel free to push it out with this today's patch. If you think it needs a bit more fine tuning, then we can do it with time progression, which would be midweek's fine, since you'll be out for next Sunday. That is fair. It does change downtime activities and how they function, so having it be per the time progression would... Yeah, that's a fair point. Right. We can post it out with the downtime update. Or downtime drop. Just so it doesn't, screw everyone who, we're saving their days. To know we have people to do that. What do you mean by cleaning up the slots? We did discuss debt, by the way, early at the beginning of this meeting. That should be handled, but
Yeah, so any debt from a hostile entity, so basically pit fighting or anything that's not specifically in an arena, you have until the next downtime period to do it. Otherwise, it's just an in-character based off of upkeep periods. So it's a handle as is.
Is
As need-
upkeep debt considered hostile?
Pit fighting, or from a
No.
criminal organization.
No, I mean upkeep, like taxes.
it is not considered a hostile form of debt. But if you don't pay it for enough time, it will be considered hostile, where you'll be getting debt collectors sent to you and even guards.
They'll come for your kneecaps.
Bounty hunters.
Exactly.
I can't wait.
Which is why I always like to have the you can choose to pay this or not pay it. Consequences will be there, though. So
it's always a choice.
Yeah,
the problem is that the fantasy IRS has far more powerful than the regular IRS because they have scrying magic.
It's true.
You don't have non-detection.
I mean,
And they have zone of truth, so you can't lie and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean certain domains of the cleric class do have non-detection at like level 6, I think now with some of them. I think
Yes,
freedom is one of them.
Yes, also point out they're not going to kill your character if you do not pay your debt. They will beat the shit out of you, but they will not kill you.
Oh, they're not going to kill you because if they kill you, you can't pay them.
Yeah.
Maybe a little killing, but like
No killing.
Not
Some
physical
maiming.
killing.
Maiming
Not
at
physical
most.
killing, just some killing of some sort.
Yeah.
Like a tree.
You know, if they do not pay and they want to try to escape paying, so like disguises and whatnot, that's totally viable. This is just a blanket. If they don't pay, and they're not smart about it, then they're probably gonna have fantasy RAS kick down their door and take them into the jail.
Slaves lose their destiny if they're ever re-enslaved.
It's true.
It's true.
Look, like we want people to have like player agency and stuff, right? But there's a certain line where if you fuck around and find out, that's the find out.
Yeah, no, this whole philosophy here is if players want to not pay something, or if they want to be a dick or be evil, they're free to do that. But if they get caught, consequences will be had.
All I will say for anyone that is watching this VOD that intends to commit tax evasion, I can and will make the most evil organization in all of D&D history, the Fantasy IRS. I will not be holding back. You're not going to like it.
Now,
prepare to suffer.
Certain countries, when they are unlocked, probably will not have any taxes. And that is when I'll have to update the upkeep system to allow for those things. Actually, I need that anyways. For the those who are like living as hermits and whatnot, who are like rangers who don't actually pay taxes. But yeah, certain regions do not have the IRS. Like the Savage Source is one of them.
Can you join the Fantasy IRS faction?
No.
It is not a faction.
No.
It is
it's
a
just
governmental entity.
Yeah, you just be joining the government.
Just don't pay tax.
In which point, once you join the government, however, you are unfortunately so the closest that you're going to get to the Fantasy IRS is going to be the Sky Sworn because you're sealing away your soul.
True.
The government now owns it. Congratulations. You will serve even after death.
That being said, if anyone wants to become Fantasy IRS, just join political. It's a fun time here.
Gift wrapped or faxed over. I'm going to need not only both, but I need the fax in triplicate.
Please make sure all forms are stamped and approved at least 3 times by 4 different officers.
Yep. You'll also have to talk to Rhonda down at the DMV on a Sunday at the.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I remember saying that. Yeah, no, those are good steps. If they have not chosen upkeep, or if they've like not done anything since we've announced upkeep, then yeah, put them on hiatus. If they have not chosen upkeep, though, but they have been playing and they have gotten their new character sheet, just consider them to have been avoiding their taxes. If they don't have the character sheet at all, the new one, they have not touched it, consider them also hiatus / not in game.
Yeah. How much time after the payment window for the upkeep to pass before action is taken against players?
I'd say at least a week until any actual activity begins to happen. But ultimately, that's up to how much is owed and the nature of the upkeep. So, like, if it's Baruja, they probably don't fuck around. Like, I mean, the Sithans can correct me if I'm wrong, but knowing their government, they probably don't fuck around.
Baruja, straight to the vampires. I mean, the Gulag.
Yeah.
Because Bruges still practices serfdom, most taxes are collected by nobles, and nobles like to keep most of those taxes. So yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the shit out of you.
Yep.
Straight to the Gulag.
The nature of the government is very important on how the tax collectors will function. So like our Locus might be a bit more the lax one out of the regions that we have open right now in terms of collecting taxes.
You just got to share a little green with your neighbor. You'll be good.
Yeah, just puff pass.
And then you burn down the government on accident.
I'm just imagining our Logos is just like, oh yeah, I mean, you could pay money, or you could donate to the National Food Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose to do none of this, you are the part of the National Food Reserve.
Fritz, there are no vampires in Bruges. We've talked about this. They're not real.
Straight to the Gulag.
It's like no one listens to us. The vampires don't exist in Bruges. They're not real, dog. Come on.
They're literally indolent. Like,
are you saying that Eldaria didn't do its job properly? I think that you need to have a talk with your local Inquisitor if that's the case.
And you work under Legacy. The audacity! The audacity to question your high priest.
Man, sounds like heresy to me.
Fucking damn.
Anyways,
straight to the Gulag.
Anything else we need to bring up? Things to discuss? Things to note down?
Yeah. We here at Economy been wanting to push out changes to access and renting stuff, mostly so
That'll be
to
next.
make.
Joking.
Huh? Oh. Mostly so people aren't just paying 10 influence forever. Hey, I have access to this, I don't know, workshop, library, whatever it is, for mere 10 influence. Instead, we want to change it to be on a upkeep basis, where you will have access for this upkeep period. You will lose it after this one because honestly, getting influence is not that difficult.
Yeah.
And also, we want to make it so it is not a universal cost. You pay 10 influence to gain access to a building, but it is dependent on the price of the actual building. For example, gaining access to a workshop would be 5 influence. Gaining access to a library would be 30. And little changes for the gold stuff. It's still 25 gold per influence not spent, but we are hoping to like also make a minimum amount of influence ratio that you need to spend.
Yeah.
Which the idea at first was 50%, but I saw 75% being argued for too.
I could also see the minimum being 1 for every 5. So if you need to give 5 influence, you can spend money to pay 4 of that influence, and then the last influence you'd have to spend. But,
so a 20% ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, either we just want some sort of minimum to ensure that, hey, I do have influence, I am influential, but let me pay you some gold.
Yeah. I mean, that works. That system totally works. Feel free to slap that out, bring it to patch notes and whatnot, so we can get that released. I'm fine with it. Anything else on that topic, or?
No.
All right. For Lattice thing, let's see here. Are you saying the one on the left is the renaming, or the one on the right is renaming? Because assume it's the left. Okay, left is rename. Normally it goes left to right in terms of the beginning to the change, so I was a little confused because the right side was obviously the current values. So I think keeping the basic names for IC use is fine, as Legacy was saying. But just for purposes of like economy and whatnot, having it be minor, intermediate, major is fine too. It ultimately doesn't really matter too much. But if you want this to be out there, I can put in the updated equipment guide. Because the update already does have the changes for everything else listed as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, which is really all people really need to see is the tier value of the category. Yeah, as long as the tiers are obvious, it's fine. So yeah, the names are using, for the most part, an expanded list of vanilla D&D rarities. Yeah, mundane is basic, while beginning of magic is poor, and then it goes up from there. It's true. Yeah, and if you're wanting to have a 3 per tier, all that good stuff, that's fine. First tier would be mundane, second tier would be magical, and just increase from there. Mhm. Yeah. I'll probably, in the equipment guide update, we'll list them out as you have suggested with the minor, intermediate, major. Maybe use a different word from intermediate just because that's a long word to say, and long words are scary. Not really, but yeah. And then in the description of the reagent, list out the in-universe term that people would use for it. Yeah, it'd definitely be econ. But it's an easy clap edition, and I'll just slap it into the equipment guide.
The next thing after this would be Pi has put a subclass for Paladin
Mm-hmm. I
under
didn't notice.
Balance.
I gave some suggestions. They accepted the suggestions. I think it's going to be released.
Yeah, the only change that I've made since you looked at that was I remember someone requested that the channel divinity that deals damage originate, like, have it so that it has to come from attack rolls rather than just any source of damage.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's any kind of dot damage is going to tick it immediately, so
Mm-hmm. It's true.
That won't be broken. No.
yeah, that's what I just added I should just pull it up again.
Yeah.
All I did was add for the next minute whenever that creature suffers damage from an attack roll, they take an additional 1d4. So
that's important.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, easy clap. So yeah, I think that's fine to release as is, and we can release it with this patch if people want.
Yeah, the only reason I made it is because someone brought up Oathbreaker, and I hate Oathbreaker, and it annoyed the crap out of me. So I wanted to make it even
Fair. It does mean that every deity that we have will now need to be looked at to see if this subclass can be added to the list of things that they can take.
Yeah, who is going to like this?
Yeah, that's
because I do have deities listed where
that.
They have listed as Oathbreaker, something that will take on Oathbreakers. So this will need to add to the list too. Most evil deities be like, yeah, if you're Oathbreaker, you can come on and hang out with me. If you're Tyranny, though, I don't know if I want an Oathbreaker.
Yeah. And anything with Order or Tyranny, probably not so much.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And once I get to the Paladin update.
Typhon will totally appreciate his Paladins taking this subclass. Surely.
Totally. Yeah.
Surely.
Once I get to the Paladin update, though, I'll probably be adding a whole bunch of new oaths as well, and adding your one too. But I want to add a good mixture of good, evil, neutral, other oaths like that.
Because when you actually look at base 5e Paladin subclasses, really none of them are definitively evil.
Yeah.
The closest you got is like
Conquest and Vengeance. Those
Vengeance isn't even.
It's not evil. It can work for evil paladins.
Yeah.
The thing. So like, when I'm making the evil deities, I'm like, well, the only options they have are Conquest and Vengeance because nothing else really works.
Evil.
Yeah, and Oathbreaker, of course, but that doesn't work for every evil.
Oathbreaker is just bad.
Yeah.
I hate it so fucking much.
A lot of the stuff we make, we purposely go through to make sure it's wording because we're also transitioning over into spears, so a lot of the wording has to be changed.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest hurdle we have for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Balance team would be good, but you want me to see them quick like Firehouse. Yeah, balance team is technically where they should go, but I will always look at Firehouse the first out of all things, especially if I'm like super busy and I'm like seeing some messages and like say balance team. If it's not an I probably will like let it sit there until I have time to look at it. If it's in Firehouse, I will look at it. Speaking of things in Firehouse, I have messages in Firehouse I need to read.
So let's get this one out of the way because this is going to be the long one.
Yeah, no, totally, Sky. People being able to be able to train to gain lore is totally something that needs to be added. Technically, it's adding a new skill, learning a new skill, efficiency, but it should be quicker because it's not as broad as certain skills can be. So I'll just have to add that as an option. As for influence expenditure towards that, what were you thinking? Also, Legacy is correct in that mundane, poor, fine is the tier. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. While minor, common, major, common, or common and major common would be the rarity step. So it would be like saying with your system, a poor common item would be a tier 2 intermediate. That's the only change, really. It's just wording. Your system's fine. I'm good to use it. It's just I'll add an additional rarity step, which will mean that the cost for certain items will probably be increased a little bit, but that's probably not a bad thing since magic items are pretty powerful. Anyways, the next thing on topic.
So it's gonna be fun. So Duke recently was attacked in a mission because he was doing evil things, and a party attacked him.
I heard about this, yes.
So this brought up the discussion of how teleportation works, because the running thing at the moment is technically Duke should have teleported out, but according to the rules that we have set up and the mission, or the from both Kismet and Pi who were there, from what has been read, Duke was still in a mission when it happened.
Okay, so context. Duke was in a mission in Eldaria.
Mhm.
However, he had been in the Eldarian region before the mission started.
Yeah.
He said that, why would I walk to the mission when it's on the other side of the country when I can just use the teleportation?
So, if the question is how do the teleportation functions, the like mission thing, you always just use the guild seal to pop on over there.
Yeah, so my statement on the matter, because an argument that he made is that while he is in the custody of whoever he was brought to. I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention. He should have teleported out of their custody because the guild teleportation is automatic. And here's my response to this is first off, absolutely not. The guild exists to allow you to adventure outside of your region. It does not exist for you to not suffer the consequences of your actions, past or present. So fuck off. That being said, my opinion on the matter is that I don't believe that the guild sigil teleportation should be taken into account in regards to something like this, because you are suffering the consequences of your actions, and DMs can just deny PvP in their games whenever they want anyway. So, if the DM allows the PvP to happen, unfortunately, you have to deal with the consequences of the PvP and whatever happens after that, whether you are brought into someone's custody or you are murdered in blood. I don't know if it's called blood or hot blood at this point, but
yeah.
it's not. It's just, I don't think that's a system that we created to facilitate people not having to use a resource to get into games should have any impact on a situation in which involves politics or governmental entities in any way, shape, or form. That is how I feel on the matter as political head.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier for literally everyone involved, and it stops stupid questions from being asked.
Well, okay, so the part to take out of this is, as it was brought up before, if there is an RP or an event that happens after a mission, that serpent-seeds the teleportation. Like, for example, like Nerf's game, due to his work, people were still waiting to join the Skysworn, so that kind of took a bit, right? They could not leave the region. They were in a bubble. That bubble cannot interact with outside people, period. They can only interact with what is inside that bubble. This follows under the same rule. According to what Kismet said and what you have shown, they were still in a mission, so there's no way for him to teleport out. The PvP happened post-game, but unless Kismet said the magic words, the game is done, you may leave. They are still in a mission.
So I was in the voice call from when political was pinged till basically everyone else effectively left the voice call. The PvP occurred before the rewards for the mission were given out.
Which means that she had not banged the gavel, metaphorically, the mission was still on. So the teleportation would not have been in effect, period, because even if it did, the second clause in that is the RP takes effect afterwards. So Duke was still in the mission when it happened.
So, in terms of your question, Legacy, it is a forced teleport. The big thing here, though, is it is not a triggering teleport until the mission is concluded. So as Kate is saying, they would not actually teleport in this case because they're still in session at that point.
Yeah. This came up before because it's an automatic TP after basically the DM has said, "Hey, here's your shit. You guys can now leave." The second that those magic words leave the DM's mouth, that is when the mission is over. Not before, not midway. the DM has control over when the mission leaves, unless, for example, a player has an emergency. Then that's a whole different ball game.
If a player has an emergency, aren't they still in the game until the DM tells them they technically left?
No. A emergency happens and they have to leave. That's when the trigger goes into effect, that the character is no longer there and they are swallowed up by the earth and sent back.
Yeah. Emergency teleports are, again, why the auto teleportation is a thing.
Yes. So if a character can't show up, like let's say a DM is running a game and player, I don't know, 3 can't show up because something happens, they slept in, they were late, or some emergency happened. At that point, at the start of the mission, a tree, earth, a wave of tornadoes, it doesn't matter how it happens, they're teleported away, back to the guild. The character is no longer in the mission at that point until they come back.
The reasoning for this is so that, because they're not there to control their character, something doesn't occur and their character, like, dies or something, or events happen where they would have been able to do something, because that's just kind of fucking shitty. So.
Yeah, ultimately, it is up to the GM. If they want to stay and, deal with after session stuff, if they have time for that, then they're good to do so, and no forced TP happens. But if, a GM is busy, they can't stay post their mission's end time, then yeah, they'll be forced TP'd even if they want to do RP things, unfortunately. It's just, if the DM has time for it. And if they don't have time for it, and they want to do more RP stuff, and they have the item, well, if they have the item, they can just RP.
So, what I recall from the Skull, what Duke wanted to do at the time was not allowed due to smuggling rules, because what he wanted to do was he wanted to postpone the teleport so that he could bury the Skull to get through customs and then go back for it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's allowed to do that because this was brought up when John Forge was trying to teleport a body.
Yeah, so
so this is where that circumstance, they have enough time because it's an hour charge or hour channeling, hour charge, blah blah blah, that they can bury it, but immediately after they bury it, because that hits that second clause of RP after mission, the instant that it's buried, they're gone.
Yeah, this was before that happened, and I believe the ruling at the time was, I don't want to deal with that, so no. If I remember correctly, because this was a fucking while ago.
Yeah. Also, the thing we do have to consider, and this is very important, is the guild, while is meta, is also true neutral. Okay? Here's the kick. That means they follow every nation's laws. So if you, for example, will use Eldiria going into Perugia because they're the connected ones, right? Once they leave that mission and go into Eldiria, the quote unquote TSA is going to check them, and it has to follow Eldirian laws. Then you have the double check again because you're going into Perugia. They have to follow Perugian laws. So if you have something on you that is not illegal in Eldiria, but it's illegal in Perugia, and you get caught, guess what? They're going to call the FBI, and you're going to hear the lady on the other end go, "We got them, boys."
Well, to add to that, there's a big question of if they get caught.
Yeah.
Smuggling can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they might not just be like, "We got them, you're going to jail." They might be like, "Here's a fine. We'll take the item."
Depends on what you're smuggling.
Yeah, if you're smuggling, like, the souls of the innocent, Eldir is definitely going to throw you through the fucking jail.
Yeah. But like, Duke did bring up a point. Like, he's like, well, what if it's just a potion of like, I don't know, weed? The most they're gonna do is like, look, dog, like we don't want to keep doing this. Like, here's a warning. Don't get caught. Go on. But like Nip said, if you have this big item that's like a fucking nuke, they're gonna be like, no, straight to jail.
To the gulag.
Yeah, like as long as they as long as they do the checks. But this does bring up that means if they're trying to smuggle something, they must immediately ping
Political.
Political, the region head that they're doing it in and going to, and then if they get caught, that's when the laws of that region that they're going to and the region they're leaving kick in.
Yeah. Now, if you are thrown in jail or the like in mission, that's where the local governments might actually take your guild seal and inform the guild of your imprisonment, at which point they're not going to teleport you back.
Because the guild does not want to piss off a country because, oh, well, your teleportation service let a criminal escape.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're looking out for their reputation. They're not going to let someone stain it because they're trying to, do some shit. If you're caught, it is the big caveat there.
Now, if the player is, the big thing is they need to have the guild seal on them. Because if they don't have the seal, then that's like I'm going to use Harry Potter here, unfortunately, but it's like the port key. They have to be touching it to teleport. So if you're like knocked out by a criminal, like a random NPC in a mission, and they grab your guild seal and put it like in the treasure chest somewhere, you might be soul bound to that guild seal, so no one else can use it. But I mean, you're not touching it, so you're not teleporting. So if as a DM your party gets TPK'd essentially, and they're all captured by bandits, and you want to make another mission where they get rescued, and the players are okay with being rescued instead of being essentially force retired for a week, then yeah, you feel free to do that, and they won't teleport away at the end of the mission because they were captured. Their guild seal was taken.
So, after we've said all this, and frankly, as you pointed out, again, as much as much as people don't like the quote, like, you don't get, the bell doesn't dismiss you, the teacher does. This actually does apply to us. Once the DM says that you are free, you're free. Until then, you're in a mission, which.
So it does say it cannot be removed, stolen, or otherwise lost. Well, fuck me and my dastardly plans.
I think an easier way to say is that it can be disabled. It cannot be removed, but it can be disabled.
It's very much magic. An anti-magic field is going to turn it off.
And I imagine that to allow themselves to actually be accepted by every other goddamn country in the goddamn world, they have told the governments of the various countries, all right, this is how you turn it off temporarily.
I'll just update it. I'll update the organization to make it clear the intention.
Also, this does because of this. Because of this, I'd say PvP, but it's not really PvP because he got knocked the fuck out and then bopped. It does. We can't use the player agency argument because the players that attacked Duke had just as much player agency to knock him out because they were good aligned people, and he did an evil act in front of 5 people.
it is already being
Yes.
like even before any changes, it is stated that it is a metal disc, so it is already something that is physical. The evil act is he talked about making deals with fiends, but also he made a deal with a fiend directly in the mission.
In front of 5 people. Yeah. That part's fine. Don't talk about anything past that. Also,
There we go. There's an update for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the guild's sole function is to allow people to teleport across regions to go into the mission, so they don't have to worry about being where they need to be at the right time in the right place. It's purely a meta system designed to let them play games.
Or, spending the resource of DTD to travel to actually go to the mission and then travel back.
Which, concerning DTDs for travel, is pretty expensive. Yeah, we don't want people to have to do that. So we want them to travel if they want to travel. But it should not be used as a method to cheese or shenanigans one way to get something that they want. They should not use the guild in any way for that purpose. If they do, then we're probably going to be doing what we're doing right now, which is technically making a rule clarifying that this cannot be the case.
Which to be fair, that's what we've been doing. Because guess what? It's still growing pains. We don't have we don't have every answer to every rule, because guess what? The reason there's a sticker on the Tide Pod thing that says "Don't eat it" is because someone fucking ate the Tide Pod.
Basically, every warning label on every single item in existence, with the exception of California making basically everything have pregnancy and reproductive harm.
Yeah.
Label, whatever. 99% of warning labels exist because someone was an idiot and did something they shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, like we don't have answers for everything, and just like the mod thing not having enough players, we didn't think that it would have to come to that, but we still had to make something for it now because there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Duke himself said he doesn't mind, so this is just... So we had this ruling listed, so if it does happen again, hey, look, here's the ruling.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one more thing. If used, or if attempted to be used by players to cheat travel restrictions of the sigil, this action no longer functions for those users for this purpose. Fuck you. I'm adding needless additions.
I don't know. I kind of like the fuck you at the end.
There. So if people do try to cheese it again, because technically that wording does allow anyone to use the action to disable the sigil's magic so they can just stay in where they are. Hey, look, that last line now says you can't do that.
Yeah.
Redundancy.
As for that entire situation, Lixie has that handled. Everything is going exactly how it should. Lixie has that entire thing handled.
Mm-hmm.
The teleporting thing in the ruling was the only thing that came out of that was a core issue that had to be handled here. Everything else, Lixie has handled in the LDU channel. Related to that incident.
What's next on the agenda?
I believe the second one for this. Paste this. The second part of that was already answered. Like the in region versus out of region, the guild expectations of return and reputation, auto return, blah blah blah. That was already answered during this entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Just so it's listed on the same page. I just added that line.
I mean, we shouldn't have to say that part because like DM has final say in pretty much everything. Unless an emergency comes up and someone has to leave, that's
IRL takes precedence.
Yeah, like shit happens. Shit happens. You can't do anything about it. And I guess we should put up there that you can try and smuggle issues checks, but which
there are rules for that. Follow them.
Yeah. Like we do have the rules for smuggling. At the time when it was brought up, we were writing them. They are now out there. If you want to smuggle, you have to do the rules. Good luck.
On that note, smuggle DCs where?
Written somewhere where players cannot see them.
Okay, well, where?
They're not written yet. We'll write them down.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
I believe I have some written down. Who's smuggling?
Well,
nobody. It's just a question because it was brought up.
Gotcha.
Just in general.
Yeah, generally it's going to be about 20-25.
Okay.
It just depends on what they're smuggling, or not what they're smuggling, where they're smuggling.
But we won't be mentioning anything more than that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it might be less, it might be more, but General rule.
It'll depend on the region and how bad you're about to fuck up.
It just really depends on where you're doing it at, but yeah. Like if you're going through the main border crossing of a region, they got some pretty good shit there. They're gonna be high DC.
Of course, those smuggling rules also apply to like the stones as well if you're teleporting, because obviously those are big, nation things that use to teleport. They're gonna have it guarded. They're gonna have shit set up to be like,
Yeah.
Clearly, the
hi.
best way to smuggle in and out of Dolator is by ship. This is clearly the
Yeah.
best way to do it.
The
Smile.
DC is you need to survive.
The DC is whatever the DC for not getting murdered by eldritch abominations.
you think you're gonna survive that shit? That's funny.
No.
Oh no, I have no aspirations in the matter, so I don't care.
Yeah.
If you make it to the island, we allow it.
You got a 50-50 shot ish.
That's a
Look, if
very
you can
generous
swim to
amount.
Dolator from Baruja, then you
Yeah.
earned your smuggled goods.
It is always 50-50 because it is either a failure or a success. What's that? That's not how statistics work. Shut up. What are
Anyways.
you, a statistician?
What's next on the docket?
We went over everything from last week.
Mhm.
We got defined answers. We went over this. That was the big one. That needed to be answered and taken care of because of its precedent issues.
Mhm.
We got Pi's thing. There's no new people for training, so whatever's there is for Legacy to push forward when they can.
Mhm.
We should have one more DM here soon.
Nice.
If Neb shows that they're not crazy at the interview.
All right, so he's already failed.
What the fuck, man?
Shots
I'll
fired.
have you know I'm very sane.
Malicious end that you call Maui Wowie.
Oh, that's right. Someone brought up the imbalance. They brought up
Minimum 1 day for teleportation. Yeah, I saw
yeah.
that. Yeah. I mean, feel free to have that. I would say the spell should probably still be cheapest, so if someone is casting the 5th level spell, just make it an exhaustive resource. Because they're going to spend a day anyways to get that resource back. Or, recuperate. But other than that, if you want to have way shrines take a downtime day, feel free. And in session, I would still have them just be the hour that they take. But, yeah.
I believe he already pushed it through.
No.
Like I said.
Oh, that was okay. I mean, if you want to update the wording, feel free. I posted it already to World End full update. So the main purposes of this can be done by using an action to disable the sigil's magic. The reason for that line is if a player wants to use it. As a DM, you can choose for when apprehended by local governance or otherwise when it's disabled or not. That's purely on you. But the purposes of the action usage and the mechanical terminology is for players.
Joe Jogi brought up one. The clarification subclass retraining for Warlock and stuff.
If you're wanting to retrain a subclass, if you're doing it for Warlock, that's a different beast. Your soul's bound. Yeah. If you're wanting to do something like a fighter retraining for subclass, though, I'll. If someone wants to Laddersmith, if they're here, hello. If you want to copy pasta the same format for class retraining and just make it less days, feel free to plop that on there. Oh, they were saying hi because I called them out. Yeah. But for Warlock specifically, anything that binds your soul, no, you are locked in.
You are the one who made that choice. Live with it.
If you break your pact through in-game action, it is possible that you could bind to another character, but that will require, again, in-game action. So that is the only way to retrain Warlock subclasses. And certain binder subclasses, because I believe a lot of them are tied to different messages, so... That is the issue with occult classes, is they tend to be bound soul-wise to a different higher being, so it's harder to retrain out of them.
I
Now,
assume you mean the curses for Oracle, right, Joki?
Yeah. Oracle curses are also one thing
I
that
I don't know
find.
fully how Oracle would work for that. So yeah, I guess curses would be part of that for Oracle. And then yeah, like Sorcerer, I know is like bloodline shit usually. So again, I don't know what we're deciding on that. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, same thing applies for cleric and paladins. You know, you can't exactly give up your god and be like, hey, you know, your last week's deal, I want somebody new. They're not they're not gonna fly for that.
Yeah. So real quick, Zach. Major update. I've been working on it for like past week or so. This cleric overhaul. The cleric. The subclass is no longer tied to the domain. They still have their domains, but their subclass is now an actual subclass. Specifically, it's the Crusader, Evangelist, or Prophet right now. They get both. And the Prophet one is actually one that gains access to a secondary domain per the Fateful Insight ability. Let me just copy paste that for you guys.
Oh God!
It's not like you get two domains at the same time. You just
level open until this is all resolved.
But,
What?
So, for your knowledge, technically they're not retraining out of the domain. They'd be retraining out of this subclass, which is something they could do. That's not like soulbound, like a domain might have been.
What? You know how bloodthirsty fucking Legacy is, and you're just gonna give them a subclass to let them go to war.
Yeah. I almost didn't
Listen.
make the domains as potent as they were. Like, I might have like nerfed them a little bit, but I looked at Wizard and comparing the power levels, I was like, I'll just get rid of a couple of features already added for Cleric, and then have domains as is. So, power-wise, they're good.
So all I'm going to say is that what do you mean gave cleric a sub? No. War cleric was already a thing.
I meant crusading.
Yeah, be a war domain crusader. There you go.
Oh, you want crusading?
Yeah.
We already had that. It's called paladins.
You're not wrong. Paladins are gonna be spicier when I'm done with them. But this is essentially Spheres of Divinity's cleric version, which I imagine it will have a lot of people going through it in the suggestion box and me making a lot of changes, because this is just a first draft of it. But yeah. Yeah, and the main thing is the domains are also going to be accessible by other features too, so... Because I might be giving Paladins some domains too. Anyways,
I
plans.
think outside of that, that's everything so far. That has come up and is stuff that's come up in recent week. I believe. Of course, if some stuff doesn't come up, then firehouse it.
Okay.
I have 49 domains. Dear God.
All I'm questioning. Also, never mind. I'm questioning another thing on top of this. What the fuck is wrong with you?
A lot.
He got inspiration, as he
Dude,
said.
you sounded so despondent when you said that. But the joke that I was going to make is, so what you're saying is if I want to make the Ultimate Crusader, they need to be an Inquisitor, Paladin, Crusader, Cleric multi-class.
Lettersmith, yes. The the new stuff will more than likely include the spells and changes.
Yeah, but this update for cleric is that the subclasses are fine for any divinity. The domains are still the things that are locked by the divinity itself. So like, you wouldn't be able to take the peace domain if you're following Ares, the god of war.
Why not?
Because he's definitely not about peace. Athena might be. Ares not.
I'm sure I can convince some guys. Just leave it to me.
So like the domains are
should be
still
good.
locked as normal per the pages of World Anvil, but the subclasses,
No, you're
those are put away enough from like any particular divine that they are not locked away. So you can be a crusader, evangelist, or prophet of any deity. Yeah, we don't have to update the pages. We might have to update some of them with the new domains. Though I don't think so, because every deity I put on World Anvil thus far, I've gone through my list of domains. Hello, phone. So that should be fine. But the evangelist is actually like the missionary preacher subclass. They have a lot of things that like say, "Hey, you do this better," or "Hey, you
Okay, so it's
talk about my deity." It's the bard.
It's more a support. Okay.
Yeah, it's a support one.
I'll call that generalist.
Yeah, so Crusader is obviously the war one. I'm gonna fuck shit up. Evangelist is the I'm supporting, and then Prophet is the I'm focused in spellcasting.
I was mostly right.
Yeah. So think of it like Prophet is the circle of the land. Evangelist is like the circle of the moon, except for the moon in this case is
God.
God, yeah. And then Crusader is the circle of I'm gonna fuck shit up. Actually, Crusader is fully done right now. All their features are done. They have Spiritual Protection, Warrior, Priest, Sacred Pulse, Divine Armor, and Avatar of the Divine.
I believe you've already gone through suggestions, so
Yeah.
at some point during your time when you're at work, so that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I've been going through the posts here at work most of the time because I'm kind of out of things to work on for my other job that I normally work on at work.
Hmm.
I mean, not really. They just gave me a giant list of things I need to do now, but I only worked like 3 hours last week because I think it was more like 5 actually. I didn't work as the full 10 that I normally do. Yeah.
Oh, when you get done with the Ashen, just send me to it.
Yeah, no
Or
problem.
send it to me, and then we'll put it up.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, I was working on it yesterday, but then I got distracted.
After that, we'll run some test games so we can get actual field experience and go from there.
Oh, right.
Nice.
That reminds me. I should mention officially in here. Probably it's looking like on the 14th of January, or 13th of January, sorry. I am going to be running another level 9 test game. This one is less of a let's see what players can do, and more of a how long is it going to take for this boss to kill you test.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically told the players, do whatever the fuck you want and go nuts. No, you don't understand. This boss has thus far there are 6. The intended is 7. But the boss has more than a few initiatives, and he's just in general an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of monster creation, I've been given a lot of monster traits by UPI and Witch. I need to add them to the trait list. But I have a giant list. I need to add them there so monster creation can be fancier, and some of the newer traits that Witch came out with are pretty solid.
Yeah. I like my villain trait, but I understand if that's not something that can really be used in the living world.
It'll be fine.
Oh, surely. Yeah, this trait, whenever it's applied, yeah, you just add another initiative equal to the tier of this boss.
That's being added.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the more higher up we go, we're gonna start getting that stuff anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna need that for certain levels of play. For like a boss to feel like a boss.
I can't wait for the tier 3 villain that has it normally would have had 2, now it has 5 initiatives. Eat shit and die.
Anyways, anything else to bring up? Things to note down?
Nope. You already said you checked suggestions. You'll check your messages and reply back to them if need be.
All right.
No, that's it. I believe that's it.
Cool. All right. Well, appreciate everyone's face, all you guys helping out, showing up, all that good stuff, and okay, I thought you were saying wait, no, not you had one other thing. Okay, and I'll drop things here. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Wow.